Strap yourself in,
because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
Yes, sir. Reading you loud and clear. Clear. The clock has started.
The clock has started.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1 more.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
You are now tuned in to this week's episode of our podcast. Today we are going to interview some of the greatest and most influential minds in our field. By sharing our collective expertise, we will show you how to harness, control, and use your own skill set to achieve ultimate success and live the life you want. And now, please welcome your host.
Welcome to this week's Small Skies podcast. This podcast is designed for small government contractors, service providers, and manufacturers as part of the government contractor ecosystem, connecting people, organizations, and resources. This week, I am live in person downtown Colorado Springs at Catalyst Campus. They are hosting their boot camp for the small businesses that want to be part of the government contracting ecosystem. So this podcast right now, I am sitting across from Miss Stephanie Hutch. She is the CEO and founder of Makai.
Yep, that's right.
Excellent. Okay, so I want to make sure I understand. Okay, it's a Kekoa Foundation Company.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
That's
does that
right.
mean? So I'm going to take a stab in the dark. Does that mean you're 8A?
We are, yes.
Okay.
We're a Hawaiian 8A company.
Hawaiian 8A. See, I'm not that dumb. Contrary to popular belief. Very cool. Okay, so what does Makai do?
So we're a technology integration company. We're focused on tactical communications. Our mission really and focus is to provide network resiliency and secure connectivity for warfighters in austere environments.
Oh, okay. So kind of, are you on the network layer side or?
Yep, network layer side, R&D as well. So we can work with customers and partners to find out different network architectures, different security levels and things like that, depending on requirements.
Okay. So how did you, how old is the company?
We're 2 years old. We just had our birthday a couple days ago.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And 1 year in the 8A program.
Okay. So you help my listeners understand what the 8A really means. What does that mean?
Sure. So the Small Business Administration, SBA, has a program for minority ownership. They have an individual 8A program, which is, one owner, and then they have an entity 8A program for the indigenous communities, so Alaskan, Hawaiian, and Native American.
Okay. I think you're actually the first Hawaiian 8A that I've spoken to. I've talked to tons and tons of Alaskan and indigenous people or native owned here in the States, but I think you're the first Hawaiian actually. So
of the three, it's the newer,
Okay.
but we fall under that entity designation.
Okay. Do you have a Hawaiian heritage then?
I do on my mom's side. Yep.
Okay. I'm assuming there's some requirement for that?
Yes.
Okay. Some percentage or something to be part of it.
Yes, I actually have a card from the Office of Hawaiian Affairs.
Oh.
So I am a card-carrying Hawaiian, very proudly.
There you go.
Though I live up in Boston, so I'm the frozen Hawaiian out here.
So you're a haole like me then when you go home, apparently.
Hapa, half. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so yeah, I spent lots and lots of time on islands, so
Great.
enjoy it immensely. Love it. I think I made my 57th trip to the islands just last summer, so
Great.
been there quite a few times. So
Yeah, it's beautiful.
okay, so you were mentioning you guys kind of focus on network layer. Are you focusing on hardware, or are you more software? I mean, you say you're kind of a technology integration company. When you say technology integration, that means that's kind of wide open to me.
Right.
So
I mean, we started, so my business partner and I come from defense contracting, so we've been
Oh.
doing that for a while. Came together, to form Makai and really focus on network challenges. So there's a lot that goes into that. There's the resiliency and stability of the network. There's, the ability to encrypt and protect the data, both on the
Okay.
hardware side and the network transport layer. And then there's from a resiliency perspective, the ability to have backup comms if something goes wrong. So through some customer discovery and partnership discussions, we sort of developed what we call the Honu, which is the Hardened Operational Networking Unit. And Honu actually means sea turtle in Hawaiian.
Yeah.
And so our joke is we have the fastest turtle because we have a 5G radio integrated into this. So
Nice.
it does look like a turtle shell when you look at it from above. But we kind of came up with this solution through various integration of COTS products. And, we have 5G capability, but also have a SATCOM backhaul capability, which we think is really important.
So this is something you can add just to another network system, essentially, right?
We can add it and tether it to another existing network, or we can stand up a whole new network.
Whole new network. If somebody wants this to be part of their design or R&D side,
Right.
they can add that from the beginning,
Yep.
which I'm sure is much easier and much simpler, right? Clean slate.
It's vendor agnostic, open source from that perspective. So, governments aren't beholden to any particular communication hardware or software platform. We kind of come in as that integrator, on a smaller scale, but the ability to bring in other partners, hardware and software solutions, and create new architecture designs.
So it'd be perfect to find you like a mentor protege or something like that, where you can, because you actually provide a product.
Right.
For some of the big boys possibly that is looking for a product or something to maybe, if you will, kind of make them stand apart when they're going after a big contract or something like that. Maybe partner with you or something like that.
Well, and this product it's sort of the byproduct of conversations and discovery. So we don't see this as our final solution. We see it as sort of the first iteration to demonstrate what we can do.
Okay, what do you call it? It's
The Honu.
The Honu, and what is it?
Honu.
Yeah.
Hardened Operational Network Unit.
Is there software included as well?
There is, but we have NDAs, and happy to have those discussions offline.
And which we probably will, because I fall in the same realm. So you mentioned you came from the DoD background.
Yep.
Were you a big boy contractor, if you will?
Nope, worked in a small business, primarily focused on A&AS, advisory and assistance support services, program management. Worked a lot. So we're based up, my business partner and I both based up in the Boston area. So work closely with Hanscom Air Force Base.
Okay. Which does a lot of AFRL stuff.
They do, yeah. A lot of AFRL, PEO, C3INN, so network cyber is
AFLIC
out of
is up there.
Right, yep. So Lifecycle Management Center, headquartered out of Wright-Patterson in Ohio, but Hanscom is a huge operating base for those mission sets.
Oh, so you're at Wright-Pat is where you're headquartered?
Nope, right next to Hanscom in Boston.
Oh, you're in Boston. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Nope, that's okay.
Okay, so yeah, you spend a lot of time. The last company I worked for is headquartered right out of the gates of Hanscom. So,
Okay.
And then I ran lots and lots of A&AS programs out at Peterson Air Force Base. So,
Okay, yep.
very familiar with all of that. But yeah, and I see where you could have access to on the A&AS side. Typically, for those of you guys that don't understand, that's usually the, if you will, engineering back end of the government. So the government will hire a company to build a product or build them something or sustain something, and then typically the government doesn't have the manpower to approve and review every single thing. So then they'll hire what's called A&AS, Advisory and Assistance Services, companies who then hire engineers, project managers. Even now they've got EPAS contracts, which includes all your administrative side, cybersecurity, all that kind of stuff, just to kind of oversee it. So yeah, very familiar with all that, how that works. And but yeah, I find that interesting that you actually kind of were born out of that realm as opposed to being born out of the R&D side of things.
Right. Yep. So I don't want to say we fell into R&D because I think A&AS lends itself to some of that, but both my business partner and I have really strong networks on the industry and government side. So it really was just a lot of conversations, partnership, relationship building, and what has resulted is this first product that we've put out. And
which is, like you said, kind of you're integrating on the networking side.
Yes.
The personnel side, right? Mm-hmm. You can't do much without that side of things.
Right. I mean, the people are critical. So you could have the best technology, but if you don't have the right people and relationships to help either integrate that, sustain that,
or
modernize.
who to sell it to, right?
Right. Very true. Yes. Customers are important. Yep.
Okay. So you said you're 2 years old. You just celebrated your birthday.
Yep.
How did you pick the name Makai?
So Makai means ocean in Hawaiian. So, very candidly, when I was going through that, name choosing process, some Hawaiian words can be intimidating to non-Hawaiian speakers. They can be very long. lots of syllables and things like that. So I was very cognizant of that. I wanted a name that was a little bit shorter and easier, not so intimidating to pronounce. So for me, Makai represents, or it means in Hawaiian, the part of the ocean where you go fishing and kind of where the abundance and resources come from. And so, kind of thinking you're standing on the islands looking out, you have that part of the ocean, and it represents opportunities and growth. So that's where we came up with
Well, thank you
Makai.
for not picking the name of your state fish.
The Humu Humu Nuku Nuku Wapua.
Exactly. That would be definitely hard for somebody to give a Yelp review for it.
We'd have to put some acronym around that.
So when I first started learning Hawaiian, the language, and trying to speak less like a haole, it was kind of interesting because there was like these kid videos in Hawaii, right, of how to speak Hawaiian, and they're all over YouTube, and that was one that I spent hours going through and just trying to understand. I'm like, okay, how do you say that?
It's a tough one.
But it's really, you just pronounce every single
Yes.
syllable. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll find out a little bit more, okay?
Okay.
Business owners looking for out-of-the-box solutions? 5 Star Bank's Business Solutions Group is here to help you with all your financing needs. When you need a creative, innovative approach that goes beyond traditional solutions, think of 5 Star Bank. We care about the growth of our local business community. With offices in Colorado Springs, Denver, and Trinidad, 5 Star Bank is easy to find. Visit 5star.bank to connect with us today. That's the number 5, STAR.bank. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Welcome back to this week's Small Gas Podcast. And this week, I'm live downtown Colorado Springs at Catalyst Campus for their Accelerator boot camp that's going on. It's for the 2 weeks in downtown Colorado Springs right now. I'm sitting across the table from Stephanie from Makai, CEO and co-founder, right?
Yes.
Okay. So real quick, before we get into one of the reasons why you're here, you keep talking about your business partner. Is your business partner Hawaiian as well?
No. So he, systems engineer, so we kind of split the kind of business management and system side. So he brings technical experience out of MITRE for many years, integrating various Air Force weapon system programs and joint service programs. So we're a really good team from that perspective because we can kind of play off the strengths and weaknesses of each other. So.
And it's very good. So you say you came from the project management realm. A little bit of my background. So I came from engineering. So my background is electrical engineering. Then I've got a master's in systems engineering. So I truly enjoy the system engineering side of things. But at the same time, I also have a master's degree in program management. And I found that if you put a system engineer and a project manager or a program manager together and they actually don't fight and kill each other, they're going to make some great things happen. But that's key, right? Because usually you get engineers saying, I have no use for project managers or program managers, and you have project managers say, I'm tired of dealing with engineers. But if you can find a way to work together, which sounds like you guys have done very well of, congratulations on that. That's very good.
And I think we both bring, our individual networks together, and we have a lot of great partners, small business and some large business too. So we've been very fortunate.
Okay, so why Colorado? Why are you interested in Colorado?
So I think, I became familiar with the Catalyst campus, just sort of what they do on the accelerator side about a year ago. So I've just been sort of following and tracking. I saw this opportunity for the boot camp, and I thought, 10 days, I could handle 10 days.
Yeah, anybody can do 10 days.
The 3-month accelerator is a lot. Very interested in that, but it's a big commitment, coming from Boston to Colorado. It's
especially with
far.
fuel prices and airline ticket prices.
It is, and I have little kids. It's a lot, but it can be worth it. So I don't want to discourage anyone.
No, not by any means.
No. But so for Colorado, I think, the fact that we have, within our communications box, we have 5G and SATCOM on the commercial side. I think Space Force is a logical partner and market for us to explore. So when I saw the opportunity for the boot camp, I thought this could be a great chance to get that crash course in, not only the different agencies in Colorado Springs, but Space Force specifically. Mentioned I'm more familiar with Air Force. Space Force is new. The whole org chart with the deltas and the different mission sets. So it's been very, very beneficial being here and learning all of that.
Yes, I've been working in this field in this town for 20 plus years, and I still don't understand all the deltas, and because now they're mashing Army terms with Air Force terms, and I'm not ex-military either. So even though I've been a DoD contractor my entire life. It's just, So good luck on that. If you can find some org charts, hold on to them because they'll be good and beneficial.
I'm sure they'll
to you.
change by the time
And they will change, especially if it has anything to do with SSC or SMC. And it's like the joke is now it's SSC 2.0 or whatever. So, it's very very enlightening that you're coming here to kind of capture and understand it. And the customers are here.
Right.
So it's kind of great that they give you access right into the customers and bring them actually just to have those one-on-one conversations with them as well.
Mm-hmm. It's been wonderful. And, my fellow cohort members are awesome. A lot of unique personalities, but super smart. We've really clicked, which is nice because you never really know when you bring a group of strangers together how they're going to interact. But it's been great just talking with them and learning from them. So
now, have you guys won any SBIRs or STTRs or anything?
Not yet. No.
Okay.
No, we did apply for one. Weren't successful. It's okay.
Well, keep going. You don't win them all. You don't lose them all.
No, and I think we learned a lot from that process.
Sure.
It was good to go through the mechanics and get set up in the DSIP portal and all that stuff. So it's definitely an acquisition model that we're going to pursue, but haven't won one yet.
So okay, real quick, see if you know this. What's your main NAICS number?
541517.
517. Okay, so engineering.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yep. That's our primary. We live in the 5-4 group.
Okay, so what's your next step? After this is all done and over with, we're done on Friday this week, right? Or is it Thursday?
Thursday.
Thursday,
Yep.
Okay. You go back home, hug and kiss the little kids, and then what's your next step?
Well, I think I need some time to kind of recover from this because we've met some really great people.
Yes.
So I have a lot of, actions and do-outs to send the capabilities brief and do all of that. But really, I need to go back to that strategic planning level and kind of rethink and refocus on the specific targets within DoD that we want to focus on. As a small business, you're constrained by resources, time, money. So we want to make sure that we're focused and really doing our due diligence with the customers that we choose.
So we have a lot of listeners that may be in the same boat as you or even a couple steps behind you. What's your biggest lessons learned so far? I mean, you've been at this for 2 years now. You had a little head start, especially on the DoD side because you worked in that field. Yep. Do you have any words of wisdom for anybody else that wants to follow in your footsteps?
I have a couple thoughts. I would say, don't rush into starting the company. Kind of take some time to understand. During boot camp we talked about it a lot, but what is your value proposition? What are you bringing to the table that makes you special? Really understand that. That would be kind of my first piece of advice. Second piece is understand some of the nuanced requirements to work as a government contractor. So whether that's, your security facility clearance or these evolving CMMC requirements, all of those things.
Yes.
Like really take some time to understand the investments that you're going to have to make.
And it can be daunting.
It can be really daunting because it's very different from commercial, and there are things that are not really intuitive.
No,
right? From a business ownership.
Pretty much everything, I would say.
Be cognizant and prepare for a long sales cycle. 18 to 24 months is pretty normal. When you first start, it could be even longer.
Yes.
And then, the last piece I would say is as you're going through, there will be a lot of obstacles that you will hear a lot of frustrations about processes, delays, bureaucracy, all of that. For me, though, I try to keep coming back to the mission and why we're doing what we do. Personally, I come from a military family. I never served active duty myself, but have always felt a call to service, and this is my way to serve. And so for me, it's all about the mission.
Yeah.
The defense, national security, but also with our nonprofit, being able to give back directly to the Native Hawaiian community is, there's nothing better. So, that would be kind of my advice there. It's difficult, but it's worth it.
Yes, I agree. And I know you couldn't have said any better that you're going to have moments where you're like, what am I doing?
Right.
Because you're right. I mean, there's so many things to learn, to understand. So which brings me to one of the things that I would highly recommend anybody do. Every single state in America has what's called a PTAC, a Procurement Technical Assistance Center. It is 100% free to anybody and everybody that wants to use their services. And so if you don't understand what a NAICS code is, you don't understand how to get in front of a customer, how to communicate with a small business liaison or officer on a military base, how to even find work, how to sift through sam.gov, how to, all these different little nuances. So so you got your SBDC, right? Your small business center that's going to help you build a business plan, right? And they've got lots of services they offer as well, free of charge. Right. But if you want to go into the military side, once you get your business set up, now how do I do business with military? So that's where PTAC's going to come in. So highly recommend anybody that wants to work on government contracting, contact your local PTAC. Yep. If you're in Colorado, reach out to me. I know them extremely well, and we'll get you in touch as well. So Stephanie, how can people get a hold of you and find out more about Makai?
So super active on LinkedIn. You can look me up, Stephanie Hutch with Makai. My email is stephanie.hutch@makaidefense.com. And then that's our website embedded in there. So, I love connecting. I love having conversations with partners. So, reach out. I'm happy to chat.
So it's Makai.com?
Makai Defense.
Defense.
Yep.
Okay, I just want to make sure I got that right. So makaidefense.com and stephanie.hutch@makaidefense.com.
That's it.
Excellent. And you said LinkedIn, and you got Instagram or?
No, that's my only social media.
Okay, I know it's so tough.
I know
it's not, and it's not social media is tough. It's just it's time in the day to keep up on every single account because you need them all, right?
It's a lot, and there's security, and you want to protect your information and all of that. But I mean, LinkedIn is amazing. It's just a great tool. So
it is, especially for those professionals out there.
Right.
But,
absolutely.
Well, Stephanie, I appreciate you coming on the show today. And for anybody that's out there, reach out to Stephanie, and all the information she just gave will be in the show notes. And as soon as this gets posted, we'll let you know, Stephanie. And we appreciate you coming on the show.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
It's been great.
Yeah, thank you.
This is Just Nate signing off.
Thanks for listening.
You've reached the end of another episode of the Smallscast podcast. Connect with us at thesmalls.org. Don't forget to sign up to our newsletter to receive our free materials. See you at the next episode.
See you at the next episode.